Covert-ops, Danger in Paradise. Written by Steve Barker. Published by Green Cat Books. Chapter 1. Meet up another night ended the same as they have for the last 30 years. Go to sleep for a few hours before waking up due to the reoccurring nightmares, which involve me dying in some sort of strange fashion. From my brains being blown out, to being eaten by creatures that wouldn't look lost in Jurassic Park. Cannot lay here all day, besides it's light outside. Time to remove my lazy arse out of my pit and hose myself down. Some person once told me when you rise in the morning, if you stretch and put a big cheesy grin on your face helps the day go well. What a load of crap. What is there to lose? So here goes. Note to self, don't try that again in the shower, nearly broke my bloody neck. One of the many vital lessons they taught in the military was breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So, let's go and stare at the food cupboard for 5 minutes, deciding what to eat before choosing what I always have, Weetabix. Followed by several cups of strong coffee. More than what the silly personages on the TV would say was bad for you one day and acceptable the next. So who cares? I like the taste. Breakfast out of the way, time to turn on the computer and read my emails. Wonder who wants a piece of me this morning. Fantastic news, only 2 people wanting me to squeeze a stone to discover how much blood I might be able to extract. Demand from the not-so-friendly people at the council saying I have 21 days to come up with several £1,000s or the bailiffs would be around to seize my home and its contents. Another from the landlord stating my direct debit failed, and my rent is now overdue. Better not open any of the letters piling up over on the dining table. Almost certainly more bad news. I will read them tomorrow. It is the middle of summer, and for once it's stopped raining and the sun's come out to play, so stuff work, can't be bothered anyway. My therapist Tony once said, try to start the day on a positive note, simple for him to say. He's not got the arseholes from the local authorities on his back. In the spirit of giving it a go, I need to go into town anyhow, so might as well walk as the sun's out. Plus, I hate getting on a bus because of the numerous amount of annoying people who insist, even though it is empty, sitting behind with their non-stop talking. Not always easy to find the chimp, so one of 2 things happen: I become incredibly stressed out, or I turn around and tell them to shut the fuck up. Best to walk, methinks. Anyway, walking is supposed to be perfect for relieving stress. An uneventful hour stroll later, I arrived at the edge of town. Let's hope it is not too packed. One thing I find unbearable is too many people in a confined space, or any place for that matter. Partly the oversight of the army training me to be hypervigilant. Plus, my time serving in what's known as the Forgotten War, Northern Ireland. Come to think about it, this is all the army's fault for preparing everyone to a high level, but not untraining you when you leave. Does not help with arrogant politicians in Westminster on their relentless pursuit of veterans who served in the Forgotten War. They were the bastards who sent us in there in the first place. Shame there is no witch hunt for terrorists making all the killings. Oh yes, they can't, thanks to the get-out-of-jail card they gave them on Good Friday. Positive, it won't be long before they come knocking at my door. Saw some stupid Labour politician the other day on the TV saying she would not draw a line under the conflict for veterans. The cow did for the terrorist. Reminds me of a post I saw on social media: if you can't stand behind our military, then stand in their boots for a few days. Wonder how many of the spineless arseholes mouthing off would do this, especially in a war zone? Don't really have a lot to do in town today apart from picking up some Dobie dust. The washing is starting to pile up and stink a bit. Thank fuck for Febreze. Shit, the city is busy and need to make my way to the other end. This is going to take some planning. Not a problem for the majority of the population, but suffering from chronic PTSD, due to a terrorist putting a pistol to my head and trying to blow me away. Fortunate for me, it misfired. Shame the scumbag legged it before the gesture was repaid. Thanks to my hypervigilance, I am continuously on the lookout for threats, which might come from any direction, even the woman pushing the pram. More feasible from the woman with the pushchair. Terrorist organizations used to hide their weapons under the baby before pulling out the gun and taking a shot, then running away like the cowards they were. One of the many skills I learned while undergoing surveillance training was the ability to perceive what was going on 180 degrees from the direction you were looking. the reflection in windows is a great way to monitor who or what is behind you. Would be surprised how many times that comes in handy. A quick check to where Mickey's hands were pointing. It is 12 o'clock, so it must be beer o'clock. Wonder if the two nutters I encountered on my last visit to the nut house are in town and fancy a few cold ones? Met both of them on a 2-week stay at Combat Stress, an organization that provided support for veterans with mental health issues from every service and every conflict since 1919. Like me, they were there for problems affecting their mental health, conditions sustained in conflicts around the world. Probably why we all got on from the start on day one, spent most of the time taking the piss out of each other. Simon was a slim-build, 6-foot cavalryman who served 15 years as a commander in the Queen's Royal Irish Hussars, serving all over the world, including Iraq and Afghanistan. Claim to fame, he was the first tank into Baghdad. Well, that's what he is telling us. Loved taking photos. It goes without saying we would call him a tanky and shout hussar. On the other hand, George was a stocky, and a tad overweight, proud Grenadier Guardsman. Like the rest of us, spent the best part of 15 years serving in war zones such as Northern Ireland, Iraq, and Afghanistan. For a reason only he knew the answer, he became angry if someone called him on his mobile. Of course, us being the caring types, Simon and I made him a clay telephone to keep by his door to remind him he was a prat. Goes without saying this was relating to his dislike of phone conversations. The phone rang several times and was about to hang up when he answered. "Hi, George, how's life with the Coldstream Guards?" For some reason he did not like this regiment.
"Do one, you fucking Green Howard,"
came the reply, close, as I had spent 10 years in the Royal Green Jackets. "I'm in the city, fancy a couple of cold ones?" "About to ring our tanky friend as well." "Excellent, meet you in an hour." Time to call Simon. Took several calls for him to pick up the phone, was more than likely changing from his night dressing gown to his day one. Finally, he answered the bloody phone. "Was about to give up, you old git. George and I are meeting in the pub for a few bevies, fancy joining us?" "Fantastic, meet you in about an hour and leave the polo donkey in the field." Took up position in a public house I had used many times, primarily because it had the best prices. There was no way this place be classed as a trendy place, more of a traditional type, didn't even play music. In fact, the only noise besides the chattering of people was the sound of the multiple fruit machines. Like most pubs, this day and age made more money out of food than beverage sales, which, like the drinks, were at a reasonable price. The bar was along the left wall as you entered and was now occupied by a dozen or more people trying to attract the server's attention by holding banknotes up or waving like a demented bird with a broken wing trying to be the next to place an order. Seated myself at one of the tables situated in a small cubicle-type arrangement, consisting of 2 bench seats separated by a table, with my back leaning on the wall looking towards the door, so I would see Simon and George arrive. Now just need to go to the bar and buy the beers, but far too lazy for that anyway. The place has an app where it's possible to purchase beverages from your smartphone. Had several drinking sessions together since we first met, so didn't need to ask them what they wanted to drink, so requested drinks from the app. Another fantastic feature of ordering from the phone is no sneaky old bugger is going to steal your table while you are away getting a beverage or two. Must give the old buggers some credit, as they can make 1 pint last about 2 hours and leave just enough to keep their table safe on their many trips to the bog. Was acting like the rest of the morons in the pub, looking at my phone, when abuse from the direction of the door came my way. No reason to raise my head, George and Simon had arrived.
"Been waiting long?"
says George. Always follow the Royal Green Jackets motto, first in, last out. "So, what have you two nutters been up to lately?"
"Been doing some security work with the Ministry of Defense and training up attack dogs. Before anyone says it, no, there wasn't any battle-hardened chihuahuas."
"What about you, Simon? Have you been up to anything exciting?" I say after taking a swig of beer.
"Not much, same old rubbish, but had a conversation with a friend of mine from the cavalry who may have some work lined up."
"Forget all that for a moment, Simon. We have a more pressing matter to deal with." "Whose round is it? Space just opened up near the bar."
"What are you talking about?"
"A man over there just collapsed, and is now lying on the floor, so more room."
"Talk about insensitive, he might be hurt."
Yes, Simon. But am I right? Is there or is there not now more room for one of you two to fetch the drinks?
Leave it to me, lads. Got to make a call to wifey to ensure she fed my battle-hardened chihuahua.
Cheers, George, a flagon of the bar's best ale.
What about you, Simon?
The same, please.
So what about you? Simon got the phone home to make sure your other half feeds the polo donkey?
Piss off.
Once George was back with the beer, the conversation turned to me.
So what you been up to?
That is an easy one. Nothing much, little short on the old cash, but did take the kayak out for a couple of days. So I either need to find some work or become a trained assassin, which might be an option. Need some money to keep the bastards at the council off my back.
How about we put all our troubles aside for now? Enjoy a laugh and get shit-faced.
Declares George, picking up his glass. I'll drink to that. Cheers, nutters. Not sure if it was in no small part related to the amount of ale consumed or the PTSD kicking in, but the bar seemed to be getting busier and louder as people piled in on their lunch break. I started looking for threats within the room. Glad the other two were here. That is what I love about veterans. They will always have your back no matter how long you have known them. Soon brought back to the here and now with a gentle slap around the head and the words.
Got the munchies, fancy any crisps or nuts? What about you, George?
Said Simon, standing up.
No thanks. Trying to keep the figure in check.
Who are you kidding, fat boy?
Came the instant reply from Simon. Make mine a bag of dry roasted peanuts, please. I'm watching the figures of the women sat by the window. Time was now getting on. Far too much alcohol was partaken, so time to head for home. Give us a ring at the weekend, gents. Simon, let us know how you get on with that work your tanky mate might have lined up. Don't walk home at the speed of a guardsman, George. You'll never reach home. Better see what the damage is on the old Dosh. As I thought, not enough of the money stuff for a bus home, so what's now become routine in this situation due to lack of funds, I'm walking again. This might even be a positive move. With any luck could have sobered up a bit by the time I arrive. Appears I slept through the device detonating in the front room during the night. Well, that is what it looked like to me. The small table, which usually sits close to the couch, was leaning against the wall along with an empty glass with piles of what could only be described as dried food. Made myself several mugs of steaming coffee before slumping on the sofa trying to work out what may have happened. The caffeine must be doing its job, as now I remembered. Returned home last night and for some stupid reason decided a few more beers would be an excellent idea. Not satisfied with that, complemented this with what was left of the curry I consumed a couple of nights ago. Want not, waste not, is my motto. Somehow, I had banged my shin on the coffee table while getting up for a piss. Thank God I remembered to do that. Well, the chimp must have taken another day off, as I had launched the table complete with the beer across the room for intentionally hurting my leg. Must get this anger issue under control. That's the problem with PTSD, you can go from calm to the Incredible Hulk in an instant. I blame the army. That is enough of playing Sherlock Holmes for today, better clean up the mess. Now that's what I call a stroke of luck. Had thrown the table on top of a 2-pound coin. That should help with the cost of some strong glue, as I'd taken a massive chunk out of one of the wooden legs. The plan for the weekend, do bugger all. Well, at least it is some sort of plan. Turned on the television and sat back on the sofa with control in hand ready for some severe channel hopping. Not long before my doing bugger all, I was interrupted by the phone singing its head off over in the kitchen. Don't care who that is. They can sod off, I'm busy, plus I don't have any spare cash to give to charity. Persistent buggers, whoever was on the other line, they rang 4 times before deciding I needed to answer the bloody thing, if nothing else, to tell them to fuck off. Okay, remember the breathing exercise, in for 6, out for 7, before the mobile becomes the next casualty in the anger games. The display screen said, private message. Well, they can do one. Was about to put the phone down when for some reason, unknown to nobody, I answered the damn thing. Not allowing time for the escaped librarian, or as some others might call it, the voice in my head, to get even the slightest chance of getting a word out, the voice on the other end said,
Steve, it's Simon.
What the fuck are you doing on a different phone number? Was about to give you the verbal equivalent of the middle finger.
Sorry, but I'm with that cavalry friend I was talking about down the local tavern yesterday. Has some work we might like. Interested?
This was one of the easiest decisions to make in a while, as the £2 I found earlier was now holding up my financial undertakings. Of course, you wanted me to talk about it, or do you need an answer now?
Later is fine. Shall we say 1300 hours at your place?
No problem, that will give me time to clean up my mess.
Okay, see you then, with George.